Okay, here we are, 1962. I told you we would get here.
The casket is placed in the hearse to be taken to a crypt on the nearby corridor of memory.
So let's turn off Danny Thomas Boulevard and head down one block on Jackson Avenue. Was this Jackson Avenue named after Michael Jackson? Perhaps Jesse Jackson? No, it was named after none other than the Andrew Jackson Cutaway, Brad, Dale, and I's great-great-grandfather. And looky here, is this where the market was, Dale, that you had to buy Grandpa's cigarettes and beer? Here's Aunt Frances holding me in front of some cool cars, not hers. There's Granny holding a cigarette in front of somebody's house with Aunt Frances. And Cousin Ralph sporting a camel toe with Mom and me in that Corvair that was Mom's divorce present from Dr. Pryor. Unsafe at any speed. Look what's on the corner here at 696 Jackson Avenue. There it is. That's the address of Gartly-Ramsay Hospital, where our grandfather was a janitor from at least 1939 until his death in 1962. You know, the Gartly-Ramsay Hospital, it's really worthy of its own video. It was built in 1859 by Edgar McDavitt, which coincidentally is on a street named McDavitt. In the 1910, it was turned into a 50-bed hospital by these two Canadian physicians. These were hardcore psych dudes, like full frontal lobotomy types that came to the deep south to work on hillbillies. In the early 1950s, when Grandpa lived there, the hospital transitioned into a psychiatric facility, a sanatorium. Yes, the all nuts, for 2 decades, lived and worked across the street from the state of Tennessee's version of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The hospital actually gained some notoriety in the 50s, the late 50s, while Grandpa Allnut was the janitor, probably the head janitor, because William Faulkner, the grandfather of Mississippi literature. Remember, we're from Mississippi, brochuses. We're from Tupelo, the birthplace of Elvis.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway, William Faulkner went there a number of times to be treated for his alcoholism. Now, don't you think that Grandpa Bill, who lived across the street and was the janitor at the hospital, don't you think he probably slipped old Bill Faulkner a nip or two? Maybe a bottle? They might have hung out and, had a few belts in the old AA hospital. It had to have happened. But wait, viewers, there's more. Before the Allnuts lived across the street from the mental hospital for 20-something years, they spent 1929 to 1939 at the corner of 751 Decatur and what? Looney Avenue. The hospital officially closed on New Year's Day, 1972. I talked to Aaron from the Salvation Army, the record keeper, I believe, who works in that building. He said that the hospital was a wood structure. It had become an eyesore. The windows boarded up. It was just a giant crack hoe house and piece of crap. So it was, in 1998, blown up, taken to the dirt, and subsequently delisted from the National Historic Registry.
Because of the following special broadcast, The Lucy Show and The Andy Griffith Show will not be presented this evening.
Morning, beautiful.
Introducing Lucy, a classic example of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, such as a home record.
All right, finally making the left turn off of Jackson. That's where Gartly-Ramsay was, right across the street on McDavitt Place. And what if this was McDavitt Circle and Peyton Place?
This is the continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie.
Finding McDavitt Place wasn't all that easy. I started here with Grandpa Allnutt's death certificate. It says street address 619 McDavitt. Some research led me to the conclusion there has never been a McDavitt Street, Avenue, Place, Road, anything in Memphis, Tennessee. And is that the address of the hospital printed right next to it? Or is that his personal address? Doesn't make a lot of difference because they're right across the street from each other. But we overcame that hurdle and found McDavitt Place, and here we are finally at Grandpa and Grandma Allnutt's house. Now, Dale thought originally it was this blue house, which might have been there, but much to our disappointment, this house here, right here, is in fact 619 McDavitt Place. I actually called the Shelby County Clerk's office, Wanda Halbert, County Clerk, and they told me that this house was built in the late 1960s, and the first record they have at this address of any house was for this house that was built by Frank Romeo Jr., some Italian that bought the lot after the Allnutt house burned down, fell down. I don't know what happened to it.